यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्।
ओम सहनं भवतु सहनं भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनाधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. Let us sit down and study together. Through discussion, let us sharpen each other's intellect. May we not bear any ill will to each other. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Let peace prevail.
Amitabh, we are now going into chapter 4. And this is an interesting chapter, like we had Karma Yoga, we had Jnana Yoga, and we learned about various things so far. But this chapter is a kind of, it has a different name, an interesting name. A name is always at the end of the chapter. But this attracts me, Gyan Karma Sannyas Yoga. So that's a interesting thing. It's a kind of blend of all that. So Krishna talked about Gyan Yoga, he talked about Karma Yoga, he talked about Sannyas, Karma Sannyas, and he talked about Yagya and everything. And now he's putting them all together in one chapter. And it's done in a very systematic way, as all the chapters are very systematic, if you look at it that way, because it does take a little digging to get to the point where you can see the flow and see how well designed this whole thing is.
Yeah, actually, the name of the chapter it tells us a lot.
Yeah.
First have the knowledge of the self and how the whole world universe works.
Yeah.
Then how we should function, and how we should be renunciation of the result of the action, or rather non-attachment to the result. And it
Right.
summarizes the whole thing that way.
Yeah. And in a way, it's even non-attachment to karma. It's like karma is flowing through you. Right?
Yes.
I mean, rather than you are doing the karma. This is amazing that Imam Vivasvate Yogam. Krishna is saying that he told this knowledge first, long time ago, to sun, Surya, Vivasvat. And Vivasvat gave this knowledge to Manu, and Manu gave this knowledge to Ichwaku. Let's just talk about the Surya ones. The Surya ones started with sun, and obviously the next person is Manu, and there is many Manu, but one of the Manu is there, and his son was Ikshvaku. He was the first kind of big famous king of the Surya Vansh. And down the road, there is Harishchandra, there is Dasharath, and then comes Ram. So
yeah, I mean, it's beautiful that how this knowledge was handed down through generations.
yeah.
And to me, it is also very important, at least that's the way I think, is that sun is something like a planet, star, cosmological entity. And
Right.
from cosmological entity, it came down to human beings. A knowledgeable early human being is Manu. And then his son, Ikshakshu, who was a Kshatriya, the warrior class. So the whole thing is knowledge, how to act, all these things are flowing from cosmological field to human field. So that's
Right.
what I really, really enjoyed it. I read this verse many a times. So it didn't sink in my head before.
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I look at it at this time, that in this universe, the planets, stars, and the sun, and everything follows the knowledge from the Brahman, or which Krishna personifies at this time,
Yeah.
and then it gets to the human beings to sustain this universe of ours. And that's beautiful.
No, it is beautiful because most of us, I'm not saying everybody, most of us human beings think that consciousness, intelligence is a feature of living things, not material. And all the planets we feel are just material things, like Earth is got, soil and I mean, yes, there is trees and trees may have life. But then there is this new theories, or I don't know, new theories, but there is something called panpsychism, which says that consciousness is a fundamental property of matter. Uh, and then there is another theory coming out, integrated information theory, uh, that there is complexity and information integration there. So basically, I mean, yes, we are trying to find explanation of consciousness, like a rock may have, 0.1% consciousness, but it has some sort of consciousness. That's what this panpsychism is about. But what Krishna is saying, this does fascinate me, because he's not only saying that sun receives the information, he passes on the information. We know that our brain has neurons and axons, and that's the way it happens. There is a lot of like electromagnetic field in sun, and who knows there is consciousness there or not. We haven't done enough research to say one way or the other, right?
If you look at Vedanta, the Vedanta says the natural elements comes out of the life energy of the universe. Life energy of the universe is Brahman, and the natural elements is the Prakriti.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Brahman, with his energy and with the help of natural elements, creates this visible world. So we read in physics what is potential energy in inanimate objects and what is kinetic energy.
Yeah.
Okay. So energy is still within natural elements. Now, whether one can call that consciousness or not, we do not know that. Okay. If you look at the word is Chaitanya. The Chaitanya doesn't really translate into consciousness exactly.
Yeah, it's more like awareness, but
Yes,
awareness
that's
is
right.
the property of consciousness. Yeah, that whole area is it's very hard to grasp from the science point of view. You cannot
Yes,
put the consciousness in a test tube, right? I mean,
that's right.
so it is. So you can experience, and you always say that experience is usually individual, right? I
Yes,
experience something, and that's truth to me, and your experience may be totally different, right?
yes,
So, this fascinating concept of, sun or any planet or any material thing, especially, I mean, sun, of course, is definitely sounds a living kind of phenomena, because it's like a lot of heat and flames and everything that we kind of imagine sun is like. So then the next one is interesting, that Krishna says that this was knowledge was going through generations, but then it seems to have been interrupted, or and lost. And he uses the word parampara. Evam parampara praptamimam rajarshayo viduh sakale neham mahata yogo nashta parantapa. So he says that this knowledge has been, this yogic knowledge was lost, and now I'm telling it to you again.
when the soul is embodied, many times we forget that.
Yeah.
And often, as he previously mentioned, the ego desire composite kind of takes us away from all these things. Now, through some events or preponderance of some traits or gunas, we forget that. And this yogic knowledge, this superb one, is often lost. Okay. And he kind of cautions Arjun about it.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is not only the example, but it also tells why it was lost. He said that before when
Yeah.
he said the mirror is dusted and all those things before.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but Amitabh, what I am thinking is that this parampara and the way you can define parampara is like a living channel through which wisdom flows.
Yes.
It's like, but it's happening even today. I mean, the difference between us and say birds and animals is that we can continue progressing. So what my grandfather did, my father progressed on that knowledge. What my father did, or generations of education that has been happening, and advancement in technology, all this is flowing to the next generation, as if it's a living channel through which all this knowledge is flowing and progressing. Whereas a bird will come and form the nest, the next generation comes and does the same thing. So they have this inbuilt kind of mechanism inside them so that they know how to make a nest, but the nest doesn't become a house. The nest
Yeah.
remains a nest.
To me, this is something like succession of knowledge through generations and betterment of cognitive evolution
Yeah.
actions.
But if
That's
you
how.
interrupt it,
Yes,
interrupt the
chain is
flow,
broken. Yes.
then it's not only the knowledge is lost for 1 year or something. I mean, if you just destroy everything, then you have to build from scratch one, right? Level
Sure.
one.
Absolutely. I used to skip that many a times or skim, but this time and one time before, I thought about it and it was great. When I understood it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of think about it. It's like if you just
Yes.
think, okay, Krishna said it to Sun and Sun said it to Manu and just go by belief system, then you don't, think about it. But if you think of the thing that, okay, does Sun have consciousness? Is Sun not only receiving but also passing on? So it's also a communication means. So it's putting a lot of emphasis on those points in the Krishna. But Arjun asks a very common, normal question, right?
I like his questioning. Well, the son was long time before you took birth. So how do you know? How could you teach him?
Right.
That is very nice. And then Krishna comes out with a very nice answer too, which he kind of explained in second chapter beforehand.
Yeah. So you and I have been here many times. You don't remember, but I do. I mean, it's very clear cut, right?
Yes.
So
And
his perception or his kind of knowledge sphere our experience sphere is definitely different than Arjun or many of us. Arjun is more like you and I. It's like we read about it, but we don't really know about it.
this is the difference between a common human being like us
Yeah.
and the avatar or the incarnation.
Or the
Okay.
realized person who realizes.
Or the realized person, yes.
Yeah.
So the thing about it, they understand the real and unreal.
Yeah.
They remember their past actions and what it did and all that. But when we get embodied, we don't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what Krishna is saying. The Arjun, your soul is eternal. I, Brahman, is eternal. We both get embodied. Me as a avatar or as a person who teaches, and you are as a common person, you forget, but I don't forget the past.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to remember or recall that in past birth, I taught this to sun or the cosmic entities.
Right. So even now, Amitabh, there are techniques to go back in your past life. Of course, we are all future oriented, but you have to become past oriented. And it is definitely a possibility. But this whole thing, Arjun asked this question, but Krishna doesn't say that I believe in rebirth. He knows about it.
That's
For
right.
him, it is as much a knowledge as I know you.
Yes.
So it's not, you must have had this question asked to you. I have faced this, with people who, at least local people, who will say, do you believe in rebirth? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe in life again? So everything is in the Western world is about belief, right?
Yeah, it's a belief and the question is, it can happen when it is belief and the science doesn't have any answer, then you have to give 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, people who ask this question, and I have encountered this question many times, even in Christianity,
Yeah.
Jesus said resurrection after death. Okay. Now, that is a little bit different than reincarnation, but nevertheless, death is not the end.
Right. I mean, that's why my book, Journey from Life to Life, title.
Yes.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, when I was giving some book talk, people asked me this question, do you believe? So either you believe or you don't believe, but the whole emphasis of Gita and the Eastern um, teaching is to knowing, right? Do you know? And that's what Krishna is saying. I know that we have
Yes.
been before and you don't know, or
Yes.
it's not in your memory.
Yes. And that is the difference, as I mentioned earlier, when the common people like us, when we take birth, we get embodied, we do not have memories of past lives, okay, which the avatars or the reincarnated individuals like Krishna or Ram, they know their past,
Yeah.
and they also do not get attached to the action that they do.
Yeah. So one of the reason about, I mean, it's the reason given that nature or Prakriti, as you say, reveals to you for what you are ready for.
Yes.
And it is by design that the past life memory is kind of wiped out for most of us.
Yes.
And I was telling you about the technique. So there was somebody um, in our time, I mean, who decided that she wants to go in her past life. And in this life, she's more like a nun, unmarried and vows for no sex, that kind of thing. And she makes this thing effort and goes in her past life. And then she was almost, gone completely bonkers, because in past life, she was a prostitute. So, but when the past memory comes, it doesn't come as if it is something different. It's you who was there, and now you are on the opposite pole, but the difference is gone. It's the same you. So now you can't deal with it, right? I mean, because your values are totally different now compared to the values that was there. So it is by nature's design that it kind of wipes out the memory so that you don't get too many confusions in your life.
That's quite possible. And according to Hindu thought, soul is immortal. It is the body that we change, and the
Right.
soul gets embodied time to time.
Yeah.
Okay, till it's liberated. So the thought, what is most important to me is that if we have got the self-knowledge, the relationship between soul and the Lord of the universe or the universal life energy, we understand that, then we can understand they are indestructible, imperishable, and that is the reality. The things that are made of nature, we did talk about it,
Yeah.
has go through the beginning, the middle part, and the end. Okay. So Krishna here tells him that because of his nature, because to me, he is a metaphor for Brahman.
Yeah.
Okay. He remembers all the past, and Arjun, embodied soul,
Mhm.
he thinks that he is the warrior, he is the general, and then he doesn't have any memories of his past.
Yeah. And then comes as I said, Karmanya Vadhikaraste was one of the, maximum quoted verse. Then comes this verse where everybody quotes this verse, or remembers, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyuthan Adharmasya Tadatmanam Srijamyaham. I make it possible to come every time there is deterioration in the universe. The
Yes,
value system is disturbed.
yes. Kind of goodness or this kind of universal life energy, Brahman, whatever you want to call, comes again and again when the world order is disturbed.
Yeah.
When the situation where the sustenance of the universe is endangered, then such characters come to put it in order.
Yeah, but I didn't think of it, Amitav, but this puts it in my head. Is there a cosmic intelligence that's monitoring the dharma level, or how the universe is, what's happening in the universe? Because yada yada hi dharmasya, who is monitoring? Who decides that? So there is some sort of intelligence system that's monitoring, right?
According to Vedanta, this is Brahman who monitors,
Or it's auto-regulation. I mean,
or
it's
auto
like,
regulation, whatever you want to call. But the
yeah,
point is, it is regulated. When things go really bad, something good comes out and restores it.
yeah, restoring, to that point, the next verse, what does he do when he comes? Paritranaya sadhunam. So the goodness, he helps goodness increase. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. And this is what's happening in Mahabharata, right?
Yes. And it is
Duryodhan
happening all
and the
over.
like and his whole network is going to be vinash, destroyed.
Yeah.
And he's not flinching when he says that. It's very clear cut.
Yes.
Goodness goes up and badness is destroyed. Dharma sansthapanaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Sambhavami. He makes it happen. He's not saying, I come back. He creates the situation. It's like when you remember when we talked about Brahma doing this Sahayagya, using the Yagya, he created the universe. So he didn't go and create it. He used the system to create it. The same way Krishna uses the system to come back.
Yes. Is the goodness appears when evils try to take over.
Yeah.
And if we see the world event in the history, yes, there has been bad times, but over the period of human civilization, it has always the goodness that has overcome the evil, because that sustains the world.
Yeah, but that makes me it's complacent. Like I don't need to do anything. Let the bad things happen, and Krishna will come. That is the downside of it, right?
No. That's not exactly how I take it.
Yeah.
Because to keep the world order, there are cosmic events,
Yeah.
planets, stars, but there is also a human element. The humans have to maintain that world order too.
So that is why he's the paritranaya sadhunam. So there needs to be some sadhus, some good people around that
Exactly.
can be. So this is what many people say, oh, when bad things come, Krishna will come back. Or somebody like Krishna will come back. And I always say, yes, he will come back, but he will make us do the work, like he's making Arjun do the work.
Yes. When there was colonialism in India, Gandhi appeared.
Yeah.
When apartheid was virulent in South Africa, Mandela and Desmond Tutu appeared. Okay. Now, they are individuals, but they are part of this whole mechanism. Sometimes the goodness comes through war or fighting, and sometimes comes through non-violence.
Yeah,
So,
but both the names you said, they couldn't have done anything if they didn't have the public support.
exactly.
So,
And public support is also a part of the mechanism,
yeah.
because it is the goodness that attracts us.
So, yeah, the goodness will prevail. I mean, that is very, very comforting, right?
Yes, it could be a
But
slow
not
process, but
complacent. It can be comforting, but don't not do anything.
that's right.
Yeah, Krishna wants us to be, taking sides. I mean, he
Yeah.
wants, like he wanted Kern to come on the good side, but that didn't happen, right?
The humans has to take part in this process too, to make it happen.
Yeah. No, I think I love the way this whole fourth chapter builds up to that. Then he talks about his own existence. Janm karm chame divyam evam yo vetti tatvata. He describes how he's a little different or a lot different. His birth, his life, his efforts, his karma, um, all of those are kind of special. And it took him 4 chapters to start saying that. Before that, he was talking as yes, I'm a good teacher, I'm a guru or something, but now he's kind of taking to a different level. Yada yada hi dharmasya, I will come back. I will, protect the goodness here. My life is special. So now he's able to, because probably Arjun is ready now to see that. So Arjun has come to a point where he's receptive to this kind of knowledge.
Yes, and this verse says a very good thing, that there is a all-pervading, omnipotent, omnipresent Lord of the universe, or the universal energy. But when it's embodied, it functions in this world, but yet it is not bound by the results of his actions, neither he is emotionally bound to it.
And then, how do you approach somebody like Krishna, right? So Duryodhana approaches him as a human being, and Krishna will respond to him as a human being. And this is where I think we say that we have, thousands of gods in India. And I think this verse that's coming verse, which is 11, which, gives a hint. The way you approach me, I will respond accordingly. So if you come to me thinking, it's like I'm a god and you want something from me and you have paid your dues in a way, then you will get that, So I will respond in the fashion you approach me. If you approach me as Brahman, the all-pervading, I will respond to you like that. I mean, am I making sense here?
Absolutely. Says we will, without our knowledge, we all worship,
Yeah,
but our forms of worship is dependent upon our intellectual prowess.
yeah,
So some people can worship like an abstract God.
yeah,
Some people do it in different forms.
yeah.
Then some people do without any selfishness or without any desire, and some people do with total non-attachment.
Yeah. So the point is, ye yatha mam prapadyante. So Krishna is saying anyone who approaches me, I mean, he's putting himself, but what I was saying is that we have thousands of gods in India, and someone, in the village, he doesn't know non-attachment. He doesn't know all this Atma and Paramatma. All he knows is that he will go to this tree, people tree, or some tree, and if he puts his kind of nariyal, there, then he will get some benefit. He's very basic, ignorant, but for him, that tree god gives him fulfills his desires. And Krishna is saying that if your desire is that pure, and if you have got this some purity of thought there, then it might get fulfilled, and I will fulfill it. So you approach me at the level you can, and at that level I will meet you. And that's probably what led to multiple gods in our place. Different people have different level of understanding of what God could be.
That's a important point to understand,
Yeah,
because of different intellectual level or spiritual enlightenment at different level, people will worship God or the Lord of the universe in different ways. Some people make statues, some people make photos, some people worship abstract God. The point is, we get the result according to the way we worship.
yeah,
Okay. And a person may be absolutely illiterate, and as you said, he may think that the tree is the God. Okay. And for the sake of the tree, he lives a very good life.
yeah.
The bottom line is he got a good life.
So that giving and receiving economy works for him. He
Of
gives
course.
his, soul and heart,
Yes.
and he gets something in return, which is
Yes.
good for him. The whole vibration thing we talked about. It's a
That is much better than worshiping an abstract God and trying to get everybody in their fold or chop their head if they don't believe one's own ideology.
yeah.
The bottom line, the intensity is there, but the intention is not that great, so it becomes a bad deed.
No, that intention is the key word here, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. The
yeah,
intention is the key word, and
yeah,
how it guides our action.
yeah,
When we discussed Buddhism before, we talked about sankalp, the intention.
yeah. Sankalp is even in short segments.
Yes,
Yeah. Intention is the most important part. How
that's right.
intent you are, how surrendered you are, how goodness, is going through you or not. Um, then comes the most controversial verse in Gita, at least in the West. I mean, I didn't realize that in the West, in high school or schools system, if you teach Hinduism, you learn caste system, and that is what this verse has become. like as if this is the beginning of caste system that Krishna has started. Chatur varnam maya shrastam guna karma vibhagasha. And in the translation, does give the caste Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. But it doesn't say, the verse doesn't say that. It just says that 4 types of people, right? Based on guna karma vibhag. It's like what kind of aptitude they have, what kind of work they do. So if someone does business, he's going to be a businessman. If somebody is in the army and has got the aptitude to fight, he is a fighter clan. So I think the 4 here, even though it has become a caste system, but it is basically, Krishna is saying that there are 4 major segments of the society based on their work and aptitude.
It is funny that you mentioned about the high school. I used to give talk in the high school about Hinduism.
Yeah.
And I also encountered this one very often.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the caste system?
Yeah.
Now, one has to distinguish between jati and varna.
Yeah.
Here, Krishna says varna. Okay. Varna is social classification according to the trait and action. Guna karma vibhajana, which distinguishes them. So there are 4 classes, which are the intelligent and educational. The other one is defense of the society. Third one is the business in the society. And the 4th one is the workers.
Blue collar.
Okay. So, but this verse tells you it is according to your trait and action, not by birth.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the distinction. It is not by birth. Okay.
And it doesn't name the castes.
That's right. So if we look at any Western society, the social classification is based on that too.
Yeah.
Okay. So
there is a ruling class, there is an intellectual class.
That's right. There's a business group, there are people who...
There is a worker group.
Working class, okay? Yeah. So, and that is not determined by their birthright. It is according to their action, according to their traits. They fall into those groups. So
this verse also doesn't talk about birthright.
That's right.
It just says 4 classifications.
That's right. That's right. Now, when I used to tell them that people who are in power, they don't want to give up power. So later on, they made it like a birthright.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's when that is called jati.
Yeah.
Okay. Jata, from the root word jata, the birth.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not trying to defend the caste system. So I'm not trying to,
No. But this verse...
I'm not bringing an opinion of that, but yes, that is the opinion that people have.
Yeah, because it is taught that way. The problem is, if you look at the scripture, what are the scriptural injunction is, and what is practiced in the society, okay, can be totally different. The word to understand it is varna, and the word to understand that it is because the classification is based on trait and actions.
Yeah.
Okay. And birthright is not mentioned here. These 3
birthright
things
is not mentioned, and the caste names are not mentioned. Exactly. Although the Hindi translation gives that in this, but if I read Sanskrit, it's just Chatur Varnam, 4
That's right.
classifications. Namam karmani limpanti. This also tells that even if I do that division, but it doesn't, I'm non-attached. And from this. So this is interesting. I say non-attached attachment. That's what Krishna is. I mean, he does everything. So you attach and do it, but you stay non-attached. It sounds like oxymoron, but he's doing all this, he's taking responsibility, but stays, outside of it.
Yeah, it's a process. He's a catalyst in that.
Evam gyatva kritam karma. So knowing all this, you should do what you have to do. You should do your duty. And before you, your previous generations have done it similar way. So it's not that you don't. Arjun can't get away by not fighting or not working. All this logic, Krishna will come back to him saying, Evam gyatya kritam karma. Know all this, you have to work. He gives this logic that, yeah, people have done it in the past. But it's like, as I said, most controversial Chaturvarnyam. Now comes the most, I think, the deepest of the deepest verse about karma. What karma is, what action is. Because to understand action, you have to understand inaction. And then he says, inaction. So when you are working, can you be, there is something inside you that's not doing it. So karma is flowing through you, but it's not by you.
Yeah, he mentioned that in third chapter too.
Yeah.
This process of action is going through you. You and I are totally into focused concentration and doing the work, but it doesn't cause any emotional upheaval. There is no external manifestation. Okay, if there is no external manifestation, it all means that the mind is focused and concentrated upon the goal.
Yeah.
So while one does all the work, all the actions from outside, he looks like absolutely still, absolutely quiet. So that is inaction in action.
Yeah. Before we come to that, he has three words: karma, which is action; akarma, which is inaction; and then he has vikarma, which is forbidden action, or kind of lack of any other word, bad action. That is easy to understand, that you should not do vikarma. Akarma is the hardest one to understand, that it's like everything is happening, but you are not, and you are doing it, and you have to do it very efficiently. Arjun, you have to go and fight. But there is something inside you that's not doing anything. And it has never done anything. And that is what Atma, we are talking about. That can stay totally non-attached from even the karma. Forget about the karma fall. Result is easy to non-attach. But even from the karma, even from the action you are doing, you stay non-attached.
Basically, it is the actions that is scripturally endorsed, the action that is scripturally prohibited, and the third one is the action with total non-attachment.
Yeah.
Focused work, but non-attachment. That's all.
And he said, anyone, if you can see that there is a karma, in action, as you said, that basically you are not doing anything, but everything is happening. And it's happening through you.
Yes.
It is a little deep meaning, isn't it, Amitabh? I mean, it's not
Yes.
easy to express, it's not easy to understand. But if you look in the past, you can say all those actions that happen through you. I thought fourth chapter is kind of, it's going to be fun because it talks about karma, it talks about akarma, it talks about non-attachment. So, so karma, sannyas, of course, the gyan comes, because I think gyan comes in the later half, second half of it. How gyan, or, knowing, put it all together and make you the most efficient person you can ever be. a kind of a blending of karma, sannyas, and gyan together. And that's what fourth chapter is all about, right?
I like the nomenclature of the fourth chapter, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogam. Okay.
Yeah.
The yoga of
Yeah.
Gyan, having Gyan first, do the action, and be non-attached to the results.
Yeah.
Sannyas.
And that's where he's coming now. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita, whose calm or desire has dropped. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam, Gyan ki agni, it's like the fire of the knowing or knowledge or wisdom. Tamahu pandita buddha. It's like he becomes a pandit. It's like a new nomenclature. But that combination is going to make you shine, Arjun.
In this fire of knowledge, you function, okay, and you renunciate or detach yourself from the results,
Yeah.
and you become a wise person.
Yeah. But here it's even from the karma you are doing. You are non-attached even to that
Yes.
karma, So
Yes.
this is not just, from the fruits of action, but also by the action itself, let it just flow
Yes.
through you.
Yes.
Yeah. Tyaktva karma phala sangha. Now he's talking about karma phal, nitya tripto nirashraya. So that's where he wants us to all get there, right? And it seems like if you give up all these things, you will become less efficient, but it's the other way around.
Just the other way around.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the summary again.
Yeah.
That knowledge infused action,
Yeah.
and renunciation or non-attachment to the result, and also to the process of action. When I say non-attachment, I don't mean passivity. I mean that as you said, let the karma or the action flow through you.
Yeah.
In that mental state. And you do not get diverted thinking about the result. And that's when the action becomes the best.
Yeah. And then he goes back to what we have talked before, desire, complex, sense organs.
Yes.
So you have to kind of remember the hierarchy, buddhi, and man, and the indriya. So if you can control your indriyas and if you can control your desires, and you are happy inside, that's where we want us to get there. He's happy with whatever he has.
That's the verse of Atma Tushti.
Yeah, right. And he doesn't have any duality, right? Sukh,
right.
dukh.
Now, I want to touch about that duality a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay. The duality happens when we
Dvandva
start.
atito. Let me use the word. He says dvandva atito. Dvandva say, you go. Okay, go ahead.
So what do we mean by this duality? Duality is when we think that we are the doer, okay? And it is all egocentric, okay? I am doing this, I am feeling this, this and that, all centered around I.
Yeah.
But we have to realize we are just the agent of the deed or the vehicle of the deed, okay? And the cycle of this universe has been set by the Lord of the universe.
Yeah.
Now, if we do not have that holistic view and we take this individualistic view, okay, this creates duality. And in Vedanta, this is also called avidya or maya.
Okay.
And this is the dust on the mirror Gita talked about.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is good to understand what he means here by duality and individuality. We have to distinguish that. It is individualistic thoughts that fosters our ego and desire complex.
Yeah, but Dvandva also here, I think is Dvandvatito Vimatsa. You have to go beyond the duality.
Beyond,
It's
you
talking
don't
about
leave
sukh and
this
dukh.
conflict.
So sukh and
Yeah.
happiness and sorrow, the two sides of the same coin. You may be happy with something which makes someone else unhappy, right? You have a great car and you are happy, and your neighbor might become jealous because you have a great car. So what Krishna is saying, that you have to go beyond both, not just the sadness, but also happiness. And that place is you have used some bliss word. That one is a real
Yes.
happy place where you are
There is
beyond this duality of bad and good, right and wrong. Because, especially in the West, do the right thing is so, thoroughly ingrained in everybody, that wrong creates a big kind of splash in our life. People get upset if somebody does a wrong thing. It should be upset. They should not be doing wrong thing. But yes, you can have a tactical strategy of how to make that happen. But if it disturbs your whole existence and your blood pressure goes up, blood sugar goes up because of that, then there is something that what Krishna is saying, that no, you have to go beyond that even to deal with those bad things or wrong things, right?
Yes. The difference between bliss and happiness,
Yeah.
of course, these are all nomenclatures, but the way it happens, the happiness happens with an object. Okay. It's a people confuse between excitement from an object with happiness. Okay. That is not bliss. Bliss is what you called atmatushti, self-content.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's talking
So
about self-content here.
Yeah, self-content is the important part, because anything that brings us any object, any sense object, any ideology, any viewpoint, if that causes excitement, we feel happy. But these are all transitory. And Krishna talked about it, what is real and unreal. Okay.
Yeah.
What is permanent and what is impermanent. Okay. So that's very, very important. Okay.
Yeah. So this verse becomes, this is our last verse, the 22nd, which is, I think it's a huge verse, because Dvandva Tito, how do you get beyond that duality of happiness or sorrow or right and wrong? How do you apply this in management? So if you are managing other people and they are doing some wrong thing and it upsets you, then you will be biased in making judgment. What Krishna is saying, that yes, it doesn't mean that you will allow right and wrong things to be done, but don't let it affect your inner stability. You should have a strategy. You should go and do what it needs to be done, because Krishna is managing himself all the time. And one of his best management example, Amitabh, is Shishupal, which is Shishupal starts insulting him and using swear words against Krishna. Krishna sets a parameter, like a limit, like this is a red line. And the red line was 100 times. If you do it 101, I will kill you. But it's not because Krishna is upset about it. It's because he doesn't want this to happen. He doesn't want the whole atmosphere to be kind of soured because of one person's presence. So Shishupal crosses that red line and Krishna kills him. But again, I think what he's saying that he's not killing Shishupal because of personal enmity, but he's doing it for the better or goodness of the world or goodness of the society. And
Yeah, that's very, very important. One thing I learned in quality management, and I talked with you about it before. If there's a problem, look at the entire process, not the person right from the beginning. You
right.
look at the different steps where the things have gone wrong and which is impairing quality. If a person is the cause, correct it.
Yeah.
Because after correction, that person may do a very good work. But if he keeps on repeating, okay, then he doesn't fit in that process. It's
Right.
a very simple way. In that way, you and I would not have any anger, any frustration, anything. Our emotions won't be all entwined with the entire process. We are looking at it in a very impersonal way, but our objective is to make the process right.
Exactly.
And that's
And
exactly
anybody in HR management, I'm sure they will agree that, don't make it personal, right?
exactly. The moment we make it personal, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And another of my favorite quote is that when ego comes in the discussion, it becomes an argument.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's our first, that's how we open up, right?
Yes.
You
Yes. The thing about it, I mean, if it's a discussion, we should learn from it. Its pros and cons, and which is applicable, which is not applicable in particular context or not. That is the way to look at the discussion.
Yeah.
But if I am trying to prove myself or my viewpoint over you, and you are trying that, then it's an argument, then it becomes a fight of egos. Okay.
Sure.
And ultimately it delegates into personal attacks. So this is one part which we should not do in any management of our own selves or management of others.
So let's finish this with our, it's like highlight of our, fourth chapter, first episode is definitely the cosmic intelligence that monitors, the what's going on. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthana dharmasya
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य